Pranams to everybody, all the way.
And I'll just check and see whether we are broadcasting on Facebook. Just give me a second. And we are. Okay, so let me offer my obeisances. To those of you who are watching us here on Zoom, as well as those who are watching us on Facebook and YouTube. We'll get started after these brief prayers to the spiritual master. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganang Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Hare Hare. Okay, so happy to have you all here. And so which verse are we going to read? And then with pranams?
5.4, Mataji.
5.4, does everybody agree? Did we get 500 points to Sutapa?
As I'm missing the classes, I have to agree.
Yeah, it's 5.4. Shraddha Mataji, can I just introduce my friend who has joined the class today for the first time?
Awesome, you brought in a beautiful
You're introducing me, Sukamla Mataji.
Oh, Vindhyavali Mataji, you have to introduce me. How can I ever introduce you? This is Rashmi. She was a teacher in my school, and she's fallen upon some tough times. So at the end, if we could just pray for her. And
absolutely, we will pray for her right now.
Okay.
Why wait till the end? Prayer should be done immediately. Okay. So, all right. So we will all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times all together in unison, trying to maintain the speed. There will be speeding tickets issued if you go very fast. Okay. So we'll go slowly over here and chanting these Hare Krishna Mahamantras to the Lordships to please them. And so that, and also request them that they give our dear Rashmi Sai Mataji the strength that she needs to go over and cross over whatever circumstances that are there in life. And trust me, Rashmi Mataji, all of us are going through some circumstance or other. This dukhalayam ashashvatam, right? None of us is happy here. And but nevertheless, when trouble comes, it is difficult to handle that. Knowing even after we know all the philosophy, it is difficult. So praying to the Lordships that they give you the strength. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare. Thank you, dear devotees, for praying, and thank you, Rashmi Mataji, for making this nice decision of coming over and listening to Krishna Katha. Wherever there's Krishna Katha being spoken, three get benefited by that. Who are the three who get benefited when there is Krishna Katha happening? Anybody would like to answer that question? Who are the three who get benefited when there is Krishna
The
Katha?
people who are listening, the people who are talking, and
Shravanam, Kirtanam.
And everybody else in between.
okay.
Right, which means that, all the insects and the microscopic items here in this room, billions of them, spiders that I don't know, and of course, I better not know about the spiders. Right? A couple of days ago, it was raining so hard, and that I think this big spider, and I'm not joking, this big spider came. I found the spider in the kitchen, and just before I was going to go to sleep, I went to kitchen to switch off the light, and I saw this big spider. And I was like, now what do I do with this spider? Because I sleep close to the kitchen room.
Hare
It's
Krishna.
going to come out in the night, and what do you do? And so I said, well, it really belongs to the vegetation here. It was in front of the stove and all that. So in any case, it'll die. So I didn't know what to do. So there was a big, you get those yogurt boxes.
You put it
I had a yogurt box, and I put it on top of the, covered the spider. And the spider, I thought after some time, the spider inside the tumbler will climb up the box, and then I'll be able to take that and then take the spider out. And, so after like few minutes, I go there and open. The spider didn't climb. It was still sitting on the floor. And I didn't want to use like broom because it's such a delicate thing, right? Such a delicate thing. And then and I was already having trouble because I don't know what happened. Maybe the ants anticipate that you're going to have a big amount of rain. And so they came inside, the ants. And so they were like in the kitchen. And you don't know, we are always in a hurry, finish your work and you have to go cook. So you immediately go to the kitchen and start. The first thing you do is switch on the tap, right? And that's what I did, without seeing that there were ants in the sink. And they all got washed away. So I was already feeling bad about the ants. Some got stuck to the sides.
Hare
And then
Krishna.
they're so delicate items that you have to be very careful by touching, and they go away. But the beauty of the whole thing is that when we open these tabs or even step on or we take our steps, we are killing. Somebody other is being killed every moment of our life. We are breathing, we are inhaling so many people, not people, but so many entities. And so it was interesting that I was just thinking that when a human being dies, there's a big thing about it, right? Ceremonies and the heartbreak and all that kind of stuff. And the soul leaves the body. And I was just thinking that right inside my sink, 5 living souls were there. And they left the body and they're somewhere in the room. They're going back wherever they have to go, right? Next body, wherever. So that's the power of the soul, that, it's inside the little cheetah, little ant. And then
You gave them Vimukti, Mataji.
I don't know, I gave them Vimukti or I'm going to go to hell. I don't know. But here's the thing that, that we will continue to do. It is pop, simple. Killing anything
But
is
if
pop.
we say Hare Krishna at that time, if something happens like that, I always say Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you should say Hare Krishna. You should say Hare Krishna. That is true. Yeah, but the thing is that, killing anybody, whether you did it knowingly or unknowingly, is a sinful action, right? And there are sinful reactions to that. And the only thing that can get you over, that is doing devotional service. So when you're saying Hare Krishna, we should say that, and you're right, Vindavali Mataji, you should say that with devotional service in our hearts. So anyway, going back to our little spider. So after 2 or 3 attempts of going and seeing where the spider is, then finally the spider went inside, inside the dog. You had to go at night. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was just thinking, I live in condominiums. Everybody from outside, anybody is watching a late night movie might think what is this lady doing in the balcony with the tumbler in her hand? But then it's a soul. It's a soul, and that's a very important thing for us to understand, that everything is a soul. Everything is the soul, and it is so minute that you don't even see it leaving the body, and it just goes out like that, right? So anyway, the soul in this material body and in this encased body is in a miserable condition. And the reason for that is that it's not meant to be. The soul by nature is Sat-Chit and Anand. And Sat-Chit Anand means that it's eternal, right? Sat and Chit and Anand. Chit is it's all knowledgeable. And Anand means it's full of joy. And so why does the joy of the soul get dull? How come the souls are not joyful? If the soul is joyful, how come everybody in the world is not joyful? What do you think is the reason for that?
We are in Dukhalayam.
But why is it
Material world, you know.
But what is it that makes you unhappy? What is the cause?
Ankur Prabhu gave the right answer, conditioned life.
Conditional life, exactly. Conditional life. Well, what exactly does conditional life mean, if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that? What does conditioned mean?
That we are very used to doing the same things over and over. Our bodies and minds are conditioned.
If-else statement, what is if-else statement? He's getting mathematical now.
Else?
If-else statement, yeah. Programming concept. Yeah. So condition actually means that, you know, like air conditions are there. You know, air conditioner and the conditioners. What is this condition, right? So when we talk about conditioned souls, it basically, when there's an air conditioner, it's conditioned. If you put the switch at 75, the room temperature will be 75 and nothing else. It'll stay, unless the air conditioning fails, right? It'll be at 75. Do it just like that. According to certain rules and regulations are there, some algorithms are there, you'll do exactly like that, right? So the conditioned soul basically means that when the soul is encapsulated or imprisoned in a material body, then it will act according to the body that it is in. That is known as conditioning. Okay? Yeah. So there's a famous story of how Brahma and Indra were once talking, and then Brahma makes Indra into a pig. And Indra comes down, falls down, and is a pig over here. He gets married, and he's got all his, piglets around him, and he's having a very nice life. And in that process, staying in the filth and all that, then Brahma comes and says, "Hey, Indra, it's 12 years. Come back." He's like, "I'm not coming back. Why should I come back? I've got a beautiful wife." Another pig. I've got kids, all pigs. Why? Because when you are in a pig's body, you will act like a pig. That is what it means to be conditioned. When you are in a lion's body, you will not eat carrots. And when you are in a deer's body, then you will not eat meat. So that conditioning is there, right? When you're a dog, like that. So you'll behave in a certain way. So that's what the conditioned soul is. So the reason, this earth is very beautiful. And last week we talked about two kinds of material energies of the Lord, right? Prithvi, Jal, Vaj, Tayu, Akash, all that. We said it's inferior. And then we talked about the superior energy. And we said, well, even if it's the inferior energy of the Lord, it should be utilized in the service of the Lord. And we used two verses from, we read the 4 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, and we said, Riteratam yat pratyeta na pratyeta chatmani. And it said that, that anything that you think as different from Krishna is Maya. We were saying, like, what is Maya? People keep on saying, what is Maya? What is Maya? This is what Maya is. So then, according to that verse, then everything around is perfect. This material world is also is energy. Everything is there, right? So what makes the Sat-Chit Anand soul unhappy in this material world is the fact that we identify ourselves with this body. That is the root cause of our unhappiness. We identify that. We think that I'm this body. And I want you to close your eyes and think about 3 situations in your life where you felt miserable. Now you have to close your eyes. I can see you. Close your eyes and think about 3 situations in your life where you were miserable, and then analyze. You don't have to tell me. I won't ask you on Facebook. We are broadcasting on Facebook. So you close your eyes and think about 3 situations where you were miserable, and tell me that the reason that you were sorry or bad, was it because of the soul or was it because of the body? Just think about all the 3 situations. Okay? all the three situations, I'll give you a minute to think about them. Having trouble finding three miserable situations or not trouble at all? No trouble at all. Very good. Right. So now let's see. I won't ask you what your troubles were. I'll just ask you the question that was it because of the soul or was it because of the body?
Because of the body, Mataji. Because of the body, Mataji.
Right? So you see, because we think that we are this body. We think we are this body and extensions also a body. And then the fact that either it is me, I am this, or it is mine. This is mine.
Mine.
And because of these two things, we will be miserable in life.
And Mataji, what I have also realized that I want this. That is also I want this, I want that.
Right. Actually, in the verses that we are doing in Bhagavad-gita Sunday morning classes, where we are doing second chapter, and Shudram Hirdaya Daurbalyam Tyaktuttishta Parantapa, we did that 2 weeks ago, right? So Shudram Hirdaya Daurbalyam. Shudram is like petty. Hirdaya, heart, Daurbalyam is weakness. So he said, give up the petty weaknesses of heart. And what are the petty two weaknesses of heart? Our heart, right? In this material world are given in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, the last verse. Krishna explained Prabhupada explains that in the purport. When he says the two weaknesses of the heart, one is to enjoy matter. Anybody wants to enjoy matter or ever had a desire to enjoy matter? Everyone, right? So desire to enjoy the matter and then to possess it. Right? Like if you're sitting in your car, in your balcony or porch, and you are looking patio and you're looking at somebody driving by in a nice Lexus car, Ankur Prabhu brings out his nice car and he's walking and you're seeing this, you're admiring. After 1 month of admiring, what would you want?
I wish I had that car.
You wish you had that car, you see? So then matter and you to have that matter. But the thing is that all this is going to be taken away from us. Right? All this is going to be, everything guaranteed in this material world gets taken away from us. So, and the interesting thing is that I was talking about me and mine. And so people, the soul thinks I'm this body. And what I produce out of this body, which is my children, are also either me, my extension. So don't say anything to me and don't say anything to my kids either. Right? Otherwise, I feel hurt. Why are we feeling hurt? Somebody saying something to another soul in another body. Why are we feeling hurt?
Grandkids also.
Yes. So like that. So that extension is there, right? And it doesn't stop over there. As Prabhupada says, it goes, my community, my city, my country, my planet, Devtas and Asuras, right? Different planets, right? And then, so that is that thing, right? And then again, mine. This is mine. And so it's very interesting that how, sometimes a child will say to Papa, Daddy, like, this is my toy, don't touch it. And the father just laughs at it, right? Like, okay, father knows that, everything belongs to him. So similarly, you can imagine how much Krishna must be laughing. How much Krishna must be laughing. Now here where I live, from here, if I have to go to other parts of the Bay Area, I have to go over a bridge. It's about 11 miles long bridge. So we drive over the bridge. And in the middle of the bridge, it says, end of San Mateo County in the sea. so they have drawn lines in the sea also. Forget about drawing lines in the land, right? But the question is that, the question here is that we keep on drawing these lines here and there, but it never belongs to us, right? So if something never belonged to you, why do you have to cry when it gets taken away?
That's true.
Right? And the day we get that understanding, so one thing is to get the understanding, and the other thing is to live according to that understanding. Right? Like, for example, sometimes, when the days when people had a lot of kids, nowadays, how many kids? One kid also with difficulty to take care of the kid, right? But earlier there will be 5 or 6.
10, 11. My mother.
There you go. So you would do that. And then people would, tell the elder one, like, you're the elders of the family. Why are you behaving like that? And the child knows I'm elder. And, if you have 6 or 11 in your family, there's 11-year age difference between the last and the first easily, right? So mom, frustrated with the 11 kids all shouting and asking for things at the same time, might just turn to the elder one and say, behave, right? And the elder one understands it, but just still doesn't behave, right? So one thing is to understand things, and the second thing is to behave according to that understanding. Right? So philosophically, we can understand everything in the Bhagavad-gita, we can read Bhagavatam, we can memorize slokas, we can do all kinds of things, but you have to live it. You have to live what we have learned. Okay, otherwise, when we come and sit in a class and, some nice sannyasis come and they give such nice lectures, we listen to all the lectures, very good. Yeah, don't do Isha, don't do this, yeah, very nice, such a wonderful thing. And then we come back home, it starts again. Right? So we have to live whatever we are learning. So Bhagavad-gita, full of instructions that Krishna has given to Arjuna as it's a drama, actually, right? Arjuna doesn't need any of that. He already knows he's Krishna's friend. Right? So he's already qualified to be Krishna's friend, and he comes with Krishna whenever Krishna comes to this material planet. He always comes with him. So there's no doubt about that. So Bhagavad-gita is actually spoken for us. And imagine, the difference between spiritual knowledge and the material knowledge. And that is that a professor, you go to gain material knowledge, a professor comes in the class and teaches it, and that's it, fine, it is there. 100 years later, whatever he taught is refuted. Some other new theory comes and it's like, what they said was completely wrong. Atom cannot be destroyed. They were taught growing up, and then my mom was taught growing up, atom cannot be destroyed, and then I grew up seeing atom bombs. so that science refutes itself as we go along. But the spiritual side of the things, a spiritual side of the knowledge or jnana, things remain the same. What Krishna told to Arjuna 2 million years ago in some other body, and what Krishna told to Arjuna 5,000 years ago, and what is the same and was applicable then and is applicable now also 5,000 years later also. It doesn't change at all. So Krishna has been giving him a lot of knowledge in Bhagavad-gita. In the first chapter, Arjuna is overwhelmed because he sees that the fight going to begin and he might have to kill his own people. Again, the concept of mine. My grandfather, my father-in-law, my uncle, how can I kill them, right? And then he also says, he demonstrates a propensity to enjoy by saying, how will we enjoy all these things if we kill our own people in the world? How he says that, kinna bhogena rajena, how will I bhoga the raj? How will I enjoy all this kingdom? So he's talking about things that are so much rampant in us also. And then
is that the sloka, Mataji? Nakankshe vijayam Krishna nacharajyam supanecha kim no rajyena govinda kim bhogayat jivitena va.
Right. So he says that. So yeah, and then so Arjuna is saying that, and for our benefit, so that then Krishna can start telling him and teaching him things, right? And actually, so let's look at this verse, and let's look at today's verse, and then we'll go back to this verse and kind of bring it back in. So as Krishna continues to explain things to him, for the benefit of Rashmi Mataji, who has joined us a little bit late, Arjuna is a little bit confused about devotional service and working. And so he's thinking that, whenever Krishna is saying that devotional service is better, so he's just thinking that, why are you then asking me to fight the war? Why do you want me to fight the war here when you think that devotional service is better than doing any work? Right? So now into chapter 5, Krishna is going to talk about action in Krishna consciousness. And we have reached verse number 4. And so I'll just go there. Do I have that even open? Let me see here, verse 4. Yeah, I do. Okay. So sharing the screen here. Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Sāṅkhya-yogau pṛthak bālāḥ pravadanti na paṇḍitāḥ ekam āsthitaḥ samyag ubhayor vindate phalam. Sāṅkhya-yogau pṛthak bālāḥ pravadanti na paṇḍitāḥ ekam āsthitaḥ samyag ubhayor vindate phalam. Sāṅkhya-yogau pṛthak bālāḥ pravadanti na paṇḍitāḥ ekam āsthitaḥ samyak ubhayor vindate phalam. And now looking at the synonyms for this. Sankhya means analytical study of the material world. Material world. Okay. Yoga is work in the devotional service. Pṛthak means different. Bālāḥ means the less intelligent. Pravadanti means to say. So vadanti tat vidas. Vad means to speak. Vak. Vad, they're all the same, right? And vadanti, pravadanti, it becomes a intensifier for that. Pravadanti, never say. Na, never. Paṇḍitāḥ, the learned. Ekam, in one. Api, even. Āsthitaḥ, being situated. Samyak, complete. Ubhayor, of both. Vindate, enjoys. Phalam, the result. So, Sankhya, analytical study, very, very important word in this particular verse. And what is the Sanskrit for less intelligent? Can you look at that and tell me?
Bālāḥ.
Bālāḥ, right? So less intelligent is Bālāḥ. Bāla, Balak? Bal Vihar, Bal means small. Like the small people, the small children. So they are less intelligent in the sense that there is an innocence also in them. And more than less intelligent, they're actually ignorant, right? I mean, they might have intelligence, but they're ignorant, they don't know. Like I have my granddaughter and she will ask all kinds of questions all the time because they are not born with all that material information. They'll keep on asking, right? Why is India so far away from America? How do you answer those questions? She was our ignorance, actually. I don't know why it is not. Right? So Bālāḥ is less intelligent. And then what is for both? What's the word used for both?
Ubhayor.
Ubhayor, yeah. Remember, ubhayor means both. Senior ubhayor madhe sthapayat, right? So between both the armies, he put that, right? So what is the Sanskrit for enjoying?
Vindate.
Vindate for 500 points. Exactly. And one who is learned, what will you call him?
Paṇḍitāḥ.
Paṇḍitāḥ, about Pandit. Okay. And what is the analytical study of the material world called?
Samkhya.
Sāṅkhya, right? Sāṅkhya. Looks like a nice word, right? Sāṅkhya. And if it is a complete thing, what do you say?
Samyak.
Samyak for 500 points. Exactly. Samyak means complete. Okay. Now let's look at the translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Only the ignorant speak of devotional service. And what is the Sanskrit for ignorant?
Bālāḥ.
Bālāḥ. Right, yes, correct. Bālāḥ. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. Okay, so Krishna is explaining. He's explaining and he's saying, well, only Krishna is his friend, right? It's almost like aap bachchon wali baat kar rahe ho. Instead of saying that, he's saying, in Sanskrit, he says it much very beautifully. What does he say? Pṛthak bālāḥ. That they are different. Bālāḥ say that. Bachche bolte hain. Like that, Right, okay? So only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world. Now this comes as a news to us. Okay, so somebody sitting behind the microscope and analyzing this material world is going to reach the same destination because you're saying they're the same karma yoga. I thought I'm the one going to the temple, washing all the dishes, and I'm going to go to Godhead and not that person. And now what are you saying, Krishna? And you call me a child? because that's how I think. Well, he said those who are learned, those who are real paṇḍitāḥs, right, say that you're going to get the same results. Now, this is news for Arjuna. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the aim of the analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. The soul of the material world is Vishnu. And what I really like about Srila Prabhupada's purports, you could be talking about anything. The translation could be anything, the verse could be anything. But in the end, Prabhupada will bring you to devotional service. That was his goal and his motto, his aim. That's why he took birth here in this material world, for us to bring us all into devotional service. So ultimately, point blank, Vishnu, that's it. No further questions asked. The soul of the material world is Vishnu, or the super soul. Devotional service to the Lord entails service to the super soul. One process is to find the root of the tree, and other is to water the root. The real student of Sankhya philosophy finds the root of the material world, Vishnu, and then in perfect knowledge engages himself in the service of the Lord. Therefore, in a sense, there is no difference between the two, because the aim of both is Vishnu. Those who do not know the ultimate and say that the purposes of Sankhya and Karma Yoga are not the same, but one who is learned knows the unifying aim in these different processes. Okay, so very heavy verse, confusing verse, very bold verse that Prabhupada, immediately came and said, right? So Sankhya Yoga. So what do we understand? He's saying people, those who are Pandita, will not take these two to be pṛthak. They will not take these to be different, right? He will understand that both of these things are the one and the same. Okay. So, and you will reach the same destination. That's also very, very important thing he's saying, right? So let's now look at, what do you understand from Sankhya, when we say Sankhya Yoga and understanding this material energy, material world. And also, why do you think Sankhya Yoga is important? Why do I need to know? I'm happy over here. I'm doing my devotional service. I'm here Friday in a satsanga with all wonderful devotees from around the world. And what am I doing? Trying to understand Sankhya Yoga. Why do I have to do it? This is like, this is material. I should just stay away from that. Why should I understand even what is Sankhya Yoga? Why should I understand this material world?
About material world, we want to know is Dukkalayam, why it is Dukkalayam. I'm enjoying, but why should be it Dukkalayam?
But they're trying to understand by the analytical study of the material world as to what this material world is made up of. Why will that tell you that why you are unhappy?
Because nothing is permanent here.
So then analytical analysis of the material world will tell you that nothing is permanent.
Nothing is permanent.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you have to analyze that to know that nothing is permanent? Even if you didn't analyze, just by looking at the apple and a mango and both, shrivel, if you leave them outside on the table, you understand that they are not permanent, right? You don't have to necessarily analyze an apple and a mango to understand that they're both perishable. So why do we have to go and understand the material world?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Mataji, you see, to come to this world, we understand that I am the soul and this is body, where I'm so attached to my body. This body is perishable, so don't be so attached to it. And the material things around you are also temporary, so don't be attached to them. The real thing is the soul, and think about the soul, and that is what I understand about this.
Yeah, so that is what also Vindhyavali Mataji was saying, right? But my question was that to understand that somebody is perishable, we don't have to necessarily do any analysis. You can see them dying in front of your eyes.
So while we are in the material world, we need to know that what is our goal. We got this body in the material world, but what is our goal? To get the love of Godhead. So that's why we need to know.
To do that, I don't need to analyze what am I made up of. My guru can tell me, hey, Shraddha, this is your goal. Do chant 16 rounds and do this and do that. So let me tell you a story, right?
We need to do the devotional service. And
Ankur saying we analyze to clear it out. So let me tell you a story and then it'll become a little bit more clear for you, right? Or at least it'll provoke your thoughts to go a little bit deeper. So there was a prostitute, very, very beautiful. And there was this gentleman, married, living with his wife, had kids, young. And one day his eyes fall on this prostitute. And he says that, I'm going to come over to your place. And the prostitute, I don't know what it is with these stories. Every story in every religion has some prostitute thrown in. Like a Hindi movie will have this, that, a song, and a Dadaji and all that. These have these, but Christians, they have these stories. So anyway, they are very different. In Bhagavatam also they are mentioned. So they are different. They on one extreme they are prostitutes, but on the other extreme they are also devotional, some of them. So she was a nice at heart, and she said, oh God, this man is nicely married and he's just fallen for my beauty and he's coming here. And so he said, okay, you come, definitely I'll entertain you. You come after 15 days. And so he's very happy. He goes home and, he puts the calendar every day. He's knocking off a day. All right, I'll get to meet her. 13 more days, 12 more days, 14, like now 10, 9, 8, 7, 9, 1, 0. Today's the day. Let me go. So he goes to meet her and he knocks at the door. And then the servant maid opens the door. And so he's like, where is your mistress? I have come to meet your mistress. Tell her that, such and such a person has come to meet her and she had promised to meet. And then she says, I am the mistress. So he says, no, you are not the mistress. I met the mistress. She's so beautiful. She's such a beautiful, young, lush body, red cheeks, red lips and all that, and, tight skin, and you are here, shriveled skin, so thin, no, not at all. You're not that person. So she says, okay, let me show you something. And then she takes him to a room. And in that room, there are, now this is gross. And then that room, there are big, big pictures. And in that picture, you see vomit and liquid stool and all that. It's full of all that. And then she says that I had been purposefully taking all this, purgatives to throw everything out of my body, to get rid of the water in the body, anything that was fattening in the body. And then there is no beauty. And so, that liquid beauty. If all that liquid comes back into my body, then I will become beautiful again. So that beauty that you're actually going after is that in the pictures there. And so then his eyes open and then he goes back home like that, right? So Sankhya philosophy, that knowledge, Sankhya knowledge is required when we are very much attached to the material world, to material things, right? For example, if I show you, what do I show you? If I show you a nice plush mango, right? And you'll say, oh, I like it. It's very nice, right? If I show you a shriveled mango, you're like, I don't like it, right? But Sankhya philosophy, when you analyze, Sankhya is analyzing the matter to tell you what is it made up of, right? And so as you analyze the matter, you realize that everything in this world, whether it is gold, right? Or whether it is stool, right? Whether it's a beautiful woman or an old woman, a handsome man or an old man, your own children, the children of your enemy, right? Children of those you don't love, children of those who love, you love, everything is made up of 5 elements. What are those 5 elements?
Earth, fire, water, air.
Water, fire, air.
Ether.
That's all? Okay.
10
And then?
10 elements, touch, taste, that is all.
Touch element nahi hai. What are, yeah. So body is made up of earth, water, fire, ether. Okay, so that's a gross body. What is the subtle body made up of?
Mind, intelligence, and
intelligence.
And ego, right? So once you understand that everything, number one, is made up of the same thing, then it is much easy for you to not distinguish between this and that, between the spider, which is in your kitchen, that you want to take a slipper and slap and finish it off, or the ants that are crawling on your sink, right? To your beloved husband right next to you, or your wife right next to you, to your beloved kids, like that, they're all made up of all the same elements. So then you will paṇḍitāḥ samadarshinaha vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini chuni chaiva shvapake cha paṇḍitāḥ samadarshinaha. So what it says is that those who are knowledgeable, vidya vinaya sampanne. So Sāṅkhya-yoga is actually also jnana yoga, where you are you're acquiring knowledge, right? Knowledge. Right now I told you got knowledge, right? Oh, well, everything is made up of these 5 elements. Yeah, that's correct. So whether it's a Porsche car that you have, or whether it's a Lamborghini, or whether it's just a Toyota, all made up of the same thing, right? So number one is that it helps you to samadarshana, to look at everything in the same manner, right? Samadarshana. And then that is one part. So you will analyze all that. But then you will also say that, how come this person made of earth, water, fire, and ether reacts in this way to this situation. Another person made up of earth, water, fire, and reacts in a very different way. Then you will start to analyze it even more. And so more jnani is going after it. I want to know, what is it? Curiosity, right? So he wants to know, and then he'll realize as he digs deeper and deeper and deeper that there is something more than earth, water, fire, and ether. Because if it was just earth, water, fire, and ether, the two should have behaved in the same manner. So what distinguishes between the behavior and the response that you give towards a certain situation is the subtle body, the subtle elements also which make up our body, and that is
mind, intelligence, and
false ego.
And the false ego, right? So depending on the kind of mind that you have, so what does a mind do? Mind takes help of our senses. Because senses, the eyes are going to gather the information from outside. What has happened? I heard my boss telling me that you are laid off. Or I see a beautiful piece of art and I want to possess it, right? Or I'm laid off and I see, so it is gathering all that information, and then the mind will start producing thoughts in reaction to all these situations that are happening around us. And that is, I should be sad because I lost the job. I should be happy because I got a mango, like that. Okay. So it's the mind that is producing those thoughts. But wait, it doesn't stop there. It just produced a thought, right? But then, should you act on the thought or not? So then it's the soul who will make the decision to act or not act. And the soul has got trusted advisors, just as a prime minister of a country has got a cabinet of ministers, right? They will advise. So similarly, there is intelligence which is going to advise the soul. Like, hey, in this particular situation, somebody spat on my face and the mind is saying, go slap him. But, my lord, I don't think that's the right thing to do. So a good intelligence is going to propose a good solution to the soul. But however, remember, the soul is above the intelligence. So the soul can veto that and say, no, I don't think so. Let's slap him. Or the soul, a soul that is enlightened and awakened will listen to these good advice and then act accordingly. Okay. And then here, this mind that was sitting on this corner and watching all these things, I'm just making it a story, watching all this thing happen, is going to record and say, oh, the last time I said, somebody spits on your face, you should slap them. And this intelligence went and said, don't slap, but the soul went ahead and slapped. So this is the right thing to do. That's the right algorithm. So that's what Ankur Babu was talking about in the beginning, about algorithms and if then else analysis. If this is done, then I should do this, right? So those algorithms get etched in our brains. So that's how it happens. So when people are analyzing, the rishis, they'll be sitting down, they'll be analyzing all this, right? And so you use microscopes, you use mantras, you use whatever you want to use. So you come to the conclusion. Okay, so these are the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and mind, intelligence, and false ego. Right? Now, what is this false ego? Right? So false ego is what makes the soul think that you're a body, but hey, we haven't reached the soul level here, right? So as they are analyzing as the Sankhya philosophy is going on and you're analyzing, you're looking at things like, what is it? So, and then we talked about things are perishable, things go away, and all that kind of stuff, right? So they are also observing it. They're saying like, yeah, I saw my mom, she used to look so beautiful, and now what has happened to my mom? Oh, right, there are wrinkles on the face. What is it that is going on? Right? Fine. Even if they had the wrinkles on the face, even if they had whatever they had, but one day they die. And then they don't do anything. They don't move. So what happened? Like, it's as if like, there was a car, when the petrol and the gas runs out, the car stops. So similarly, this body, which is like a vehicle, it stopped one day. And so now the Sankhya philosopher has to go and figure it out, right? That's what you do. You're the intelligent one. You figure it out. So they will then go explore it further. So the Sankhya philosophy, when it is doing all this analysis, will analyze and it'll say, okay, there are 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, right? It'll also say that there are these senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses. What are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses? Unmute. Vindavali, unmute. Eyes, yeah.
Ears, eyes.
Eyes, ears, nose.
Nose.
Tongue.
Tongue.
Yeah, tongue, I said.
And skin, touch.
Touch.
Touch is an organ?
No.
Wait a minute.
What is the organ?
Skin.
Skin, yeah. Skin
Yeah,
is the organ, right? And so, so these are the 5 sense acquiring organs, they knowledge acquiring organs, right? So they are senses. Hey, these are your enemies. How come it took you such a long time to count them? They should come just like that. These are my enemies, right? Okay, so these are your 5 enemies and our 5 senses. They acquire knowledge from the outside world. Okay, 5, and then there are 5 knowledge. So 5 elements we said: earth, water, fire, ether, and then there are 5 knowledge acquiring senses which will gather you knowledge about these. So it will say, okay, you know what? This beautiful lady, it looks like she has got less earth inside her. The body is lit, and color is different. This one, it's like that. So it's acquiring all that knowledge there about what constitutes how the 4 elements are mixed together, right? And so knowledge acquiring. So 5 elements, 5 knowledge acquiring elements, and then there are 5 working senses, right? What are those working senses?
Hands, legs.
5.
2 hands, 2 legs.
Oh, you're cheating. You're counting hands twice. Yeah, 1. Okay.
Hands, legs, and
What? Come on, give me the working senses. Okay, let me go look at the chat if something is coming on the chat and I'm ignoring.
brain. No, brain. Hand, legs. God, what is that? Hands and legs.
Okay, let us see what are the things you do. You walk and you,
Legs like that.
legs, yeah. You walk and
Hands,
eat, mouth.
tongue.
Taste.
tongue, right?
I said before.
Tongue.
No?
No, you did not. You said tongue for the knowledge acquiring senses. So tongue does dual purpose. Tongue does dual purpose. It acquires the knowledge and it also does the work. So when it is acquiring the knowledge, it is giving you the knowledge about how a certain thing tastes. Sweet, salt, bitter, right? And when it is speaking, that is when it
Brain. No?
right? When speaking. Okay, so now how many did we get? 3 we got, right? 2 hand, a pair of legs, and a tongue.
Yeah, 5.
What else do you do?
Brain thinking.
Listen.
Listening.
Yeah.
Is that right?
No,
No.
because you don't do listening. Listening is a passive thing. Listening is a passive activity. You don't have to do anything. If the sound falls in your ears.
Looking. No.
Not even looking. The form comes in front of you.
Touch.
excretion and reproduction.
Brain, I said.
No,
Brain,
that's
you
not
excrete with
good.
brain or you reproduce with brain? What do you do?
Okay, Mataji.
Bachu Begum. That's the tongue, even before you are finished thinking, the tongue will start talking. Okay, yeah, the tongue is one of the sense organs. One of the working senses doesn't have, like our hands have got bones in it. So there's only limited things that you can do with your hands. Like, how much can I turn, twist, whatever can I do with that? There's a limitation. Like, there's a bone there. Tongue, no bone. You can wag it, this, that, everywhere, right? And you see how tongue is a very active thing. I mean, whenever you have something,
Usually we talk.
if you have got something stuck in your, if you've got something stuck in your tooth, what does the tongue do?
Tongue, go and get it.
Tries to get it, right? All the time. You'll be like, okay, fine, it's there. It's there. Yeah, it's very active sense, right?
Comes out, it won't stop.
Okay, so so those are the knowledge. Okay, fine. So you give 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses, and then we talk about now these senses. The knowledge acquiring senses have got sense object, right? So if you are sensing something, what exactly are you sensing? So according to Sāṅkhya-yogau, right? So what are the eyes sensing? What do they sense? What idea? What information do they give you about? They give you information about roop or its form, right? A form of an object, right? Is it fat? Is it thin? It's round, circular, like that, right? So it's giving you color. So it's giving you information about the form, murti, the roop of anything, right? Big, small. Like, so the eyes are going to give you that, okay? What does the nose do? What does it tell you? Smell,
Good
right?
and bad.
It will tell you about the smell, right? Okay, tell me other knowledge acquiring senses. What does ear do?
Hearing.
Ears can.
But what is the object?
Sound.
Yeah, that's the right word, right? Okay, what were the other tongue?
Taste.
Eyes, form, ears, sound. Okay. And then what else was there? Nose, smell. And then what was your 5th enemy? Which is biggest enemy, all pervading?
Mind.
Skin.
Right. Did you notice that your skin is all pervading?
Yeah.
It's all over your body. Right? Talk about being captivated by an enemy in such a bad manner. Right? So we are really in a miserable situation in every circumstance.
Mataji, can you elaborate a little bit why is the biggest enemy means the skin?
Because it covers you completely.
It has captured the whole thing.
Vaisheshika Prabhu tells a very nice story about the touch. So I'll repeat that. So he says that, there's a man, loser, completely, young man in his 26, in his 30s, early 30s, no job, no nothing, didn't finish college. And he's going from one station to another station, got a big scolding from his parents in the morning, like, what a good for nothing fellow you are. And then he sits in a train, and then the train goes through the tunnel, right? So when the train goes through a tunnel through a mountain, so there's complete darkness in the train. And as he's sitting in the train, the train is moving like that, and then a hand comes and touches his hand like that, right? So sense of touch, right? Somebody's hand comes and just touches him like that. And so then his mind, there's knowledge that the skin has acquired, right? And then it is passing that knowledge to the brain, to the mind. And what is the mind doing? The mind says, oh, wow, yeah, there was this beautiful lady there. It's her hand. Oh, she's touching me. I think she's in love with me. You know what I'll do? Let the light come and I'll marry her. I'll propose to her and she'll say yes. And then I'll take her home, and then my parents will, and I'll show my parents that you said to me, I'm good for nothing. See what a beautiful wife I brought. And then suddenly the train goes out of the tunnel, and he turns and he says, there's a big hairy man sitting there like, so sense of touch. Sex is sense of touch.
Yeah.
Right? So it's your biggest enemy in this material world. And C is all over you. all over the place, right? And the body is geared like that. Somebody touches you and then you go on that making castles in the air like that man was doing. So, okay, so back again. So 5 elements, Prithvi, Jal, Tej, Vayu, Akash. And then the 5.
What call for that, Mataji? 5 elements? That Prithvi,
Earth, water, fire. Akash, sky.
Yeah, but what do you call out all of it?
5 elements.
Panchabhuta. 5 elements, yeah. Right? Okay. So this skin is going to gather information from the outside world about whether texture, temperature, like that. So it's from the skin. You can say like, bukhar ho raha hai, the mother will come and put the hand on the forehead of the child. What is she doing? She's gathering information through her skin to see how much is the temperature there. So how much are we counting? We are doing Sāṅkhya-yogau, right? So earth, water, fire, air, ether. 5. Vindhyavali Mataji, can you hold those 5 elements with you? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. I will come back and take them. Okay. And then Sutapa Mataji, are you going to handle the 5 knowledge acquiring senses? Knowledge acquiring senses. Okay. Rashmi Mataji, can you hold the 5 working senses? Okay. Hand, legs, tongue, digestive, excretion system, and reproductive system, right? Like that. Okay. So you keep how many do we have in total?
15 we had.
15, right? And then we also talked about the objects of these senses. These knowledge acquiring senses have to acquire knowledge about something, right? What is that about? So we talked about 5, which was form, sound, smell, taste, and the texture or the touch, right? So 4, 5. So Radhe Mataji, can you keep them?
20, yeah.
Okay. So we got about 20 elements there. Okay. So now giving all these 20 elements over there, so things are reacting, going this way and that way. And so now comes the question, the Sankhya yogi is going to think that if everything is made up of the same thing, why do they react differently to different situations? And so that's when they dig deeper and they come to the conclusion that there are 3 more things, right? One is the mind, other is the intelligence, and the third one is the false ego, right? So because of the mind, different options are presented to react to a particular situation. And because of the intelligence, a choice is made, a discrimination is made between all the options which are there, that which is right and which is wrong, right? And then because of the false ego that I think that I am the body, the soul will take an action this way or that way, depending on how much the soul thinks I am the body and how much the soul doesn't think that I am the body. For example, when we were young, or even, it doesn't matter, we could be any age, when people insult us, we feel very, very offended, very much offended. Or when people ignore us, my husband didn't wish me happy birthday. or I had a new haircut and he didn't notice it. We feel so bad, right? Like that. Or the husband is having an affair. Worst case, like that. I feel bad. So the thought has come. You saw something and the thought has come into your mind, right? Now, depending on the different levels at which, or the consciousness of the soul, the way the intelligence is all lined up and working with you, the intelligence might say, hey, you remember March 23rd, we had that lecture on Sāṅkhya-yogau. It said, you're not the body. So why do I care? Why do I care, whether my hair looked good or not and somebody liked it or not? I'm still the soul. This hair is anyway going to fall down in 10 years. Like that, right? Or, who cares about the husband and who cares about the affair? What exactly is the affair? I want to have an affair with Krishna. These husbands and all, they'll go away, right? So like that, the intelligence is there to, discriminate all that. So till that point, you will be able to explain why people behave in a certain way. So can you hold on to the mind and the intelligence for me? What are you holding on?
Varsha. She's
okay. You did not give me anything, Mataji, that time.
Okay, okay. I gave you mind and intelligence. Can you hold on?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Right. So far we're able to explain how and why different people behave in different manners and different entities. How a dog behaves, how a cat behaves, like that. How a monkey behaves, how a child behaves, like that, right? Mind is not that much evolved for a child to be able to, come up with so many different ideas. They kind of take things for granted. People tell them they obey. Also, they don't have a power of discriminating, right? If a snake comes in front of them, something is moving, they will go and catch the snake also. They don't know. They can't discriminate between a snake and a puppy. They'll catch, right? Like that, right? So the mind, to that extent, you're able to do that. But then you find that, there's something happens and people die or things die, right? So then you have to dig a little bit deeper and find out that what exactly it is. Something changes. Something changes. Something got finished, like the gas in the car. Something left. Something was no longer in this body. And then they find out that that is the soul, right? And that is the 23rd element of Sankhya-yoga. Varshara Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Right? So hold on to those, to that thought. I'm going to bring up a verse from Bhagavad-gita here. And this is from the 2nd chapter, one of my favorite verses, 2.29. I don't know if I opened that ahead. Okay, let me open that here. Oops, sorry. Isn't it amazing? You go to Google and you type BG 2.29 and Vedabase comes up. It is amazing.
Acharyavat pashyati kaschit-enam.
Ascharyavat pashyati kaschit-enam. Acharyavat vadati tatheva chanyaha. Acharyavat chenam anya shinoti. Shrutva-pyenam vedana cheva kaschit. What does it mean? Beautiful. This is describing the soul. This is actually describing who you are. And as Matajis that we're here, I don't think Uncle will relate to that, but when I remember like 12 years, 13 years, I'm like, oh, this pimple has come. Oh, I've got acne. Oh, there's a tragedy in my life, what has happened? And then you grow like, oh, my first gray hair has come. Like, oh my God, I'm a wrinkle over here. So, but then look at the soul, and you are the soul. And the reason we are unhappy is that we identify with these wrinkles and we identify with this body, which is perishable.
But the soul is not.
So the soul is not. And here he's saying, some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing. And some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing from him, cannot understand him at all.
Mm.
And you are that. Apart from the fact that we are women, that no one can understand in any case. That's what our husbands tell us. Apart from that, we are also the soul that people are not able to understand the soul. Right? And so when Arjuna is very unhappy and he's talking about, he's saying, they will die. Oh, they will die. There'll be this, there'll be that. And then he comes up and explains, what? As a person puts on new garments, giving up the old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and the useless ones. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. And the soul can also not be affected by the situation that the soul is in. And that was a little exercise that you did in the beginning when you closed your eyes and thought about 3 situations where you felt very bad and you realized that you didn't touch the soul. You know what? Nothing can touch you. And isn't that a wonderful protection, the best insurance that you can have? Nothing can touch you. The earth, water, fire, air, ether, nothing can touch the soul. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, everlasting. You were talking about things perishing. Here is the formula for you. The soul is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Like that. And one who has taken this birth is sure to die, and after that he is sure to take his birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of a duty, you should not lament. Right? Some look at the soul as amazing. We just did that, right? So, amazing things he's telling. In the 2nd chapter itself, what is Krishna telling? He's taking him beyond the Panch-bhutas, the Panch-indriyas, the Karma-indriyas, the Gana-indriyas, and all that. He's taking him to the soul, which element number did I give you, Varshana Mataji? I gave you some elements.
Yes, Mataji. Soul, mind, intelligence.
Mind and intelligence I gave you, and then soul was the third that I gave you, right? And before you, the other ladies took 20 of them, right? So soul becomes the 23rd element, right? So when you look at all these beautiful things and you say that, ascharyavat, vadati kaschya, so it's so wonderful. So when you see that the soul is wonderful, what will be the next logical question that anyone will ask? That will be, who created this beautiful thing, right? When you see a beautiful car, kaun si company ka, which model is it? Like that, right? So you'll ask that, who made this? And that will bring you to the 24th element, which is, answer me, please. Who made you?
Krishna.
Krishna. Yeah. So that is the 24th element, right? So different people go into different details of Sankhya-yoga. They'll add some more elements, Mahat-tattva and all that, Pradhan Prakriti, they talk about all that. But the question here is that why should somebody understand this Sankhya-yoga? And that is to understand that when you are very much materially attached, as Arjuna was demonstrating. So when you are very, very much materially attached, he's saying that I'm going to give you a little bit of Sankhya-yoga. So he gives them half of the second chapter, he gives them pure Sankhya-yoga. This is the soul, this is that, there's no perishable. Jnanis have looked at it, ubhayor, they have studied the nature of this. That which is this material body is sure to be perish, and that soul is never going to perish. And they have said ubhayor, the word ubhayor that comes there. They have studied the nature of both. He says that over there. So he's explaining all that Sankhya-yoga philosophy to me. The idea is liquid beauty. That story that I told you about the prostitute. Don't go after the material thing. It's tool. Actually, if you look inside our bodies, what our body is made up of a lot of things that smell very bad when they come out, right? Like if I cut and the blood comes out, and you smell it. Other than that, there is bone marrow. There's bile, there's stool, urine,
Mucus.
Bones, flesh, mucus, stuff, right? Everything is smelly. And still we say, we are so attached to this body.
Covers with the...
We don't want to leave it, yeah. We are like the Indra who didn't want to leave the body of a pig. Like that. So you have to so if a person is very, very materially attached, you have to give him this knowledge so that he comes out of that attraction, comes out of knowledge. And in the process of why he's asking this question, what is this? What is this? I'm looking for permanent happiness, because he's a soul. He's looking for permanent happiness. I'm the soul. I want this. I want this. No, this is not neti, na iti. This is not it. This is not it. This is not going to give me happiness. I'll bring 12 mangoes, keep it in my fridge, eat all 12 of them together, lose motions the next day. Keep them in the fridge, fifth day, forget them, all are shriveled, like that. So you see all that, you're not, so you're like, what is going to give me? What is it that is not perishable? Soul. Okay, now who made the soul? God. And then when you see God, what else can you do when you see God but to do devotional service to him? Bahunam janmanam ante jnanvan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. So these bahunam janmanam ante, after many, 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 many births, manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati viddaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschit mam eti tatvataha. So he said, number one, he says, bahunam janmanam ante jnanvam prapadyate. After many, many births, these jnanis who are saying, let me analyze. I will analyze. Let me figure it out. Let me figure it out. I go behind the microscope. I go here. I go there. I get gurus, all kinds of Sankhya gurus. I get all that, right? But then I come to the conclusion that, oh, this is what it was. This is Vasudev. And then what happens in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad-gita when in the universal form, the 11th, when Krishna shows the universal form to Arjuna? What does Arjuna do? Tell me. What does Arjuna do?
He gets scared.
He was scared.
He's very frightened.
And what does he do?
He needs to get a third eye.
He sits down and he surrenders himself.
Yeah.
How does he surrender? What was a very particular thing about the surrender? The namastes that he does. From the left, from the right, from the back, from the top, from the bottom, everywhere, total surrender. And now, so he was surrendering. At that point, he was surrendering in fear, right? But there was surrender. So when you understand that there is God and you are completely hopeless in front of him, there has to be surrender. What's the use fighting? right? But God, like a good father, will allow. Like Ankur's son, Hari, he will fight with his father. Come, father, let's box. And then, Ankur will fall down. One box, the son gives it and falls. Play. It's a game. Tolerance the father gives for the son, right? Similarly, God is also tolerating all these things that we do. And we lament. And we draw lines on the sea. Forget about drawing a line on the land where you're going to see like that. So everything I want to possess, everything I want to enjoy for myself, right? But when Krishna is saying in the verse that we have that we are doing today, where he's saying that do not think like that. Do not think that sāṅkhya-yogau, pṛthak bālāḥ. If you think that by doing sāṅkhya-yoga, it's something very different, it's not going to lead to Krishna consciousness, then that's a childish mentality. Why? Because after he does all the Sankhya-yoga, he's going to come to Krishna. And then once you see Krishna, and it's not necessary that Krishna will manifest in his universal form. You could see Krishna in his beautiful form also, right? Right?
Shraddha,
What makes it so beautiful?
Didn't the Lord appear as Kapila-dev to teach the Sankhya philosophy?
Exactly. Yes. To Devahuti.
Yeah.
And in that chapter, you see, first you see how material energy can seize somebody, right? Karda Muni marries Devahuti and they enjoy for 100 years.
Yeah.
They enjoy for 100 years. And one of the promises of Karda Muni was that I will marry her. I'll marry Manu's daughter, Devahuti. I'll marry her. He's talking to the father-in-law. I'll marry her. But after a son is born, I will leave because my main aim to do devotional service to the Lord. But he had this desire in his heart to have a wife and to lead Grihastha life. And then what did God do? He God arranged for him the best possible wife, Devahuti. Right? And so they enjoy for 100 years and they don't know where 100 years are there. And then a son is there and then he's about to leave. And then Devahuti says, amazing sloka in Srimad Bhagavatam. She says, I have been cheated by this material energy. And that's when he sits down, Kapila-dev, sits down, and Kapila, who's the son of Devahuti, sits down and teaches the Sankhya-yoga philosophy to his mother. Right? So, so that's what Krishna is saying here. To think that, it is pṛthak. It is not pṛthak. Some people will go the route of the jnani, but ultimately they will surrender. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanvan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. To know that, Vasudeva and Krishna is everything is a difficult thing. On the other hand, when we are talking of that, when you're doing work in Krishna consciousness, right? So there are two things. The Sankhya-yoga philosophy is saying, the Jnanis are saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't set up a factory, don't set up a hotel, don't set up this, no, it's all material, don't touch, right? Like that. So the Jnana yoga is the yoga of not doing things. And the Karma yoga, on the other hand, is the path where you do things for Krishna. Right? And that is what Krishna is trying to tell that to Arjuna, that you do this for me. I have already planned this whole war because I want to reduce the burden on this earth. Because Prithvi came crying to me saying, do something about it. And that's why I have come here. This taking the, paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya chadushkatam. I have come here as avatar. I have come here. This is my project. So help me. The project, work for me in this project. Do as I want it to be done. That is Karma Yoga. Right? So they are both the same thing. It's ultimately you have to go back to Godhead. Ultimately, you have to surrender to Krishna. And so you can take a bus to go to Bombay, or you can take an aeroplane to go to Bombay. But you will reach Bombay because you have taken something, a vehicle that is destined to go to Bombay. Right? So that is the whole verse from today about that. Don't think that they are different. Either you have bhakti in the beginning and they start doing karma for Krishna. So on the other side, when we talk about Karma Yoga is all work. And it is much more easy to do that. Why? Because your senses need engagement. If I tell you to sit here and close your eyes for 10 minutes, you cannot do that. You will open it in the middle because you need engagement. Senses need engagement. So you engage, instead of saying, I'm going to close my eyes and, try to focus, which Vishwamitra did. He had full control over his senses. And then one little sense, which is the most powerful, gave way. What was that sense?
Hearing.
And what did he hear?
The tinkling of the anklets.
Yeah, anklets.
Yeah. Chum. And that's it. He became a Grihastha. So this is like that. So artificially controlling these senses is not going to help you. At the least in the first provocation, Subaru Muni was meditating 10,000 feet underneath the, and we hear that story in the Bhagavatam, 10,000 feet underneath the sea. He was meditating under the water for many, 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 many years. And then he sees 2 fishes copulating. And that's it. His senses get aroused. He comes out and marries 50 women, not one. So these senses have to be purified from the path that they are on, that I'm going to gather all the knowledge so that I can enjoy, or this body can enjoy, because I think I'm this body, so this body can enjoy. I want to move those senses. The attachment of the senses should be attached to Krishna. I should be attached to setting up a factory. I should be attached to making money. Why? Because I want to use all that in the service of Krishna. And so, whereas Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga talks about detachment, Karma Yoga is talking about attachment, but it is the right type of attachment. So they will ultimately go and lead to the same place. And that is why the Panditas, the knowledgeable, will not say anything. If somebody is doing Sankhya Yoga, let them do Sankhya Yoga. They are balas.
But they say Sankhya, Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga are not the same. Anyway, is that right?
No, the goal is the same. The path is different. Right? So that is a main difference that we have to understand over here, is that the workings are different. The way you go and reach there are different. Right? If I want to come to your home, I can fly and I can also walk. Right? So bahunam janmanam ante. But if you take to devotional service, then there are chances that even in this one life, you can go back to Godhead and not come out of the circle of birth and death. But Jnanis, not necessarily. The Jnanis will reach all the way up to the Brahma Jyoti. That's all they will reach. Right? And then they will fall down again. And then they need a mercy of a devotee, because they have been so used to thinking and raking their brains. They will come back, take another body, and again start thinking the same way, because the mind gets carried to the new body. Right? Okay, so I'll stop here. And if there are any questions or reflections, we'll take those for a couple of minutes. So what were the 5 objects you were holding, Vindhyavali Mataji?
Elements: earth, water, fire, and ether.
4, 5. You ate one element. Give me all again. 5, 5, 5.
Earth, water.
Fire, air, and ether. Earth, water, fire, air, and ether.
And Sutapa, what did you have?
Air.
It's Mataji working senses. No, knowledge acquiring senses. Eyes, nose, tongue, ear, and skin.
Okay, very good. And Rashmi Mataji, what did you have?
So I have hand, leg, tongue, excretion, and reproduction.
Very good. You took care of those senses. Okay, working senses or karmendriyas. And Sukamal Radhe Mataji, what did you have?
Had sound, taste, touch, sound, taste, touch, sight, and form, and
Smell, taste, texture.
Sound, taste, touch, form, and
Texture.
No. Sound, taste. I don't know. Smell.
Right?
Yeah.
So these are known as the objects of the senses.
Yeah.
I've got objects of the working senses. So what Sukomal Radhe Mataji has got are the objects of what Sutapa Mataji is having, right? And yeah, so the objects of the senses, the information about those objects is gathered by Sutapa, and then Rashmi Mataji acts according to whatever is not acquired, right? So you like smell what's happening in the kitchen, right? The legs will go walk over there, take you to the kitchen, hands will pick out and eat whatever is being cooked.
This I wrote one more. Form, sound, smell, taste, objects.
Texture.
That's what I said. Texture, I wrote it.
No, texture is the same as touch.
Okay.
Mataji, this is how you remember. You start with your 5 knowledge acquiring senses and then go one by one and see what are the objects. So first knowledge acquiring is the eyes, right? What is the object of the eye?
See.
Form.
Form. Okay.
Form.
What is the next? Go below the eyes. What is there below the eyes?
Ears.
No.
No, below the eyes. Come on.
Nose. Nose.
Smell.
Nose is there.
Nose.
Okay.
Smell.
Nose is smell.
Now, okay. Then what is below the nose?
Tongue.
Tongue.
What does that give you?
Taste.
Taste. Okay.
Taste.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Then stay in the face. What else is there?
Ears.
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 Sound.
Hearing.
Sound.
The
Okay. And then,
sound.
and then
Touch.
again is the
Skin.
touch. That's how you remember that.
Yeah.
Mataji, we just read about all this land, but sometimes I think like everything from a small thing to bigger thing, like a clutcher or costume jewelry or whatever, very small thing also. If we see any beautiful things, we want to have that. This is the greed or like something else. Forget about house and a nice car and clothes and everything. But if it is very small, like a water bottle, if it is like the shape is good or the color is good,
It's
okay,
very
I'll
interesting.
buy one
Yeah,
more.
it's a very interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing. So let's take costume jewelry, right? So when we want the costume jewelry, we see costume is beautiful, I want to wear it, right? So that is coming from the enjoyment, our propensity to enjoy. And why do we have that propensity to enjoy intrinsically? Because we are parts and parcel of Krishna and he's the supreme enjoyer. So Krishna enjoys, so we have this tendency to enjoy. But the problem is we want to enjoy irrespective of Krishna. So we take that jewelry and we put it here. Now you have the jewelry looking beautiful. Now you want to have 5 more pieces of costume jewelry. That is greed.
That's greed. Yeah. More than one is greed.
Right. Now the same person can go buy. So now also some people just get joy from purchasing. Not necessarily that they will they buy saris and they'll keep them. Not wear them. Buy saris. Why? Because they get joy from just buying it. Possession, ownership. Right, I've got this. So they will buy it. So what exactly is there? The situation is that you like shopping. Some people will say, I will shop for you. I will shop for you. Like somebody else might say, I don't like to go. I mean, I used to enjoy even buying potatoes. I mean, normally ladies don't like to do grocery shopping. They like to go to sari shops and jewelry shops and all that. I was so bad that I enjoyed even buying potatoes. And I would say, I'll do your grocery. So now this propensity to enjoy the process of shopping can be utilized in the service of Krishna. You go and do grocery shopping for the temple, right? You buy jewelry for Radharani, right? And then also interesting thing which our Aruni Mataji had brought, she's not here today, earlier was that, but what about putting costume jewelry on yourself? Yes, you will put costume jewelry on yourself the day it is Krishna's birthday because it is his birthday and you want to be presentable and you want to look beautiful for him, right? So there are various reasons and you always have to see the intention behind that reason as to why certain person behaves in a certain way that they behave.
Sometimes we buy and wear and go to parties. What is that, Mataji?
Yeah, tell me.
No, but if we keep on collecting, if we are fond of saris and we go on collecting and wearing, that is greed. But it's like when you're into devotional service, doesn't that slowly kind of fade that, oh, you have enough,
right.
You don't
Very
need more.
good. Very good. Exactly. Very good observation. And that is, then you said the crux of today's lecture. That is the purpose of Karma Yoga. See, just by sitting there and thinking or controlling his mind, Vishwamitra did not get over his desire to enjoy women, right? And the first thing, Menka, beautiful, comes and then he succumbs to that, right? On the other hand, we see, who do we see? Who did not succumb to the charms of a woman? Very recently, 500 years ago.
Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur, exactly. Yeah, Haridas Thakur, right? I like Ankur's answer, one devotee.
I remember I need to leave. I'm sorry.
I know. Yes. Okay. Yeah, catch up on the recording. Thank you for joining. Yeah. I remember a lecture. It used to be a joke about, somebody asked, who are the 5 Pandavas?
Mm-hmm.
He said, there's Arjun, there's Bhim, there's one more, and there's one more, and one I forgot. Arjun, the bhim, the oor se bhul gaya. Like that. So I like Ankur's answer, one devotee. Oh, it's devotee. Yeah. So when you read Shastras over and over again, then familiarity comes. And so because he was doing devotional service, same situation. A prostitute came here and to him. So 3 nights he said, okay, let me finish the chanting and then I will enjoy with you. And then 3rd day he opens his eyes, the prostitute is sitting in front of him and she's chanting, So that's the effect, these
He
devotees
transformed
will have,
her actually.
Transformed her. So that's the kind of power that the soul has. And that is the purpose of karma yoga, that karma yoga purifies your actions. It purifies your actions. Otherwise, without Sāṅkhya-yoga, without connecting your actions to the Lord, it will never be purified. It's almost like, getting infected. And that's what you said, Sukumal Radhimati-ji, that don't all these things just go away? Yes. After you come to Krishna consciousness, you say, I don't know when I gave up onion and garlic. I did not do anything special. It just goes away. Why? Because they get replaced by the higher things.
Taste, yeah.
And to go to the higher thing, you have to drop the lower. You have to drop the lower. Like if you're holding something in your hand and you want to have a better thing, you have to drop this and pick up the other one. Like that. But yeah, good point. So shall we?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, you told the story of Kadam Muni and Vishwamitra. He was, he heard the tinkling of the anklets. And the story of, he was praying under the water. What was his name?
Subaru Muni. Subaru. You will see, I think you will see it in 9th canto. His story comes in 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mataji, I have a question.
Go ahead, Ankur.
This question came when you were talking about the advisors that we have in ourselves, like the intelligence, the mind, and everything that talk to us, right? Now, when I came into Krishna consciousness, I kind of started able to differentiate this, and then I was like able to like, there is one which is your mind creating trouble and advising you wrong, and then the other one is your heart speaking up as a critic, saying that no, this is right, or this is the wrong thing you're doing. But so my question is, like, there are these voices that keeps going on, and should we consider that whatever comes from the heart is the purest one because Krishna is sitting there?
Well, you know what? The mind also sits in the heart. That's a problem. Very close to the soul, which is also in the heart. So in the heart, there is mind, intelligence, and Krishna, and memory, and Krishna and the soul. They're all in the heart. And well, that's a seat. The soul kind of floats around also. But and that's why you might have heard your teacher say, by heart, kar lo by heart, for the poetry. From memorizing, they're saying by heart. What does it meaning of by heart? Because the memory is there in the heart.
By heart.
Right. So yeah. So just to so now, because the mind, which could be the worst of our, let me just show you the verse. I think it is in Gita 6.6. It's a very famous verse. Let me bring it up here. This is a good verse to memorize, actually. Bandhur atmanastasya yenatmeva matmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve varetatmeva shatruvat. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends, but for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Okay?
Yes.
So that is the situation. That's the situation that we are in. And one of the things that I heard in one of the lectures is that when these voices come, how do I distinguish that this is a mind and this is a soul?
Yeah.
Right? Or, like that. So one way of distinguishing is that look at how the pronouns are being used in that statement, right? When it is saying, mujhe kar lena chahiye, I should do it, versus you should do it. Right?
Yes.
When you're saying I should do it, who is the I? It's the soul. So the soul is thinking. When it is like you should do it, Ankur, ye kar lo. When that voice says something like that, then it could be the mind. or
Right.
it could also be the soul.
Oh,
Yeah,
It
so
could also be
Mataji,
the
that
soul.
is what I was mentioning about the critic. The critic always says you are wrong or you didn't need to do this.
Right.
So yeah, that is
Yeah.
very.
So then the question is that there is always a dilemma that sometimes it is like that. How do I even know? Right?
Right.
Because there was one disciple of Prabhupada. He says, Prabhupada, last night you came to me and said you were forcing me. You came in my dreams and you were telling me to have ganja. Because he was a hippie, right? And ganja means LSD. Start
Yeah.
taking drugs again. And so mind can present things in the form of the spiritual master coming and telling you that, right? So
Right.
what do we do in that case, right? When you are in a conflicting situation, that the mind is saying this. One thing is that, you don't have to act immediately.
Very
Wait,
true. Yeah.
wait. Always between the thought and the stimulus and the reaction, try to put as much of gap as you can. And whether it is anywhere, whether it is you look at something and you want to have it, or whether somebody said something to you and you want to react to that, every time. If you increase that gap, you'll be a happy man. So you increase that gap as a conscious practice, right? You might not succeed the first time. It takes a long time to do that. And the second thing is that you should always, as our Guru Maharaj says, triangulate. Triangulate means have a triangle. So this voice which is saying something in my heart, is it also similar to what I read in the scriptures, right? So, and also what the other sadhus are saying. So did my spiritual master also say this? Did the Shastras also say this? Or and this heart, of course, that is saying that, right? Always triangulate and check it out like that. And if you're still confused, then reach out. Reach out to people.
Right.
Right? Guhyam akhyati prachyati. That's why they say that one of the things that improves your devotional service is that when you talk to people in confidence and you inquire in confidence, and then you go and, tell them that how the senses can be giving us so much of trouble,
Right. Mataji, two more things I wanted to add to this is like one distinguishing thing I found is the voice which makes me more tempting to go towards that is not really the one. And the other one is that the voice which is actually a critic will be very faint voice. Like it will be not as loud as the one which is actually trying to tempt me. So it's kind of...
It will change. Yeah, but it will change. It will change. And then it's not that the confusion goes away. Yes, of course, the Krishna will become louder because we are tuned to that frequency, and the other will get tuned out, the mind, because we're not tuned to it. But also the mind will also become purified. So the mind will also start putting good ideas to you. That's why I'm saying one who has conquered the mind is the best of the enemies. So then again, it will be like, Ankur, do this. Right? And it's saying, but sometimes it is like, okay, I should go and keep on saying, you should go to the temple today. You should go to the temple today. You should go to the temple today.
Right.
So at a later stage, it'll come naturally to us. And when you're in doubt, you reach out to your thing. But sometimes, even if you might just think that mind told me to go to the temple, that was the right thing to do, isn't it? On the face of it, isn't it? Yeah. But then I had some seva that my Guru Maharaj asked me to do. Right. And I go to the temple, 8 hours gone. Then when do I do it? So sometimes you might make a decision not to go because because karma yoga, you're doing service to Krishna. So it's not that simple.
I see.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Try to get out of this circle.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, you had mentioned once thinking, willing, acting.
Feeling and acting. Thinking, so it's not that order. Thinking, feeling, willing and acting. TFWA.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you just mentioned that when the thought comes, we have to apply this. I was just thinking.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And then a mind that has become your friend will at that time immediately plan that other thought, a good thought, right? That's why we need the mind. It's not that we don't need the mind. We need the mind. It's our navigational system. That will tell us turn right, turn left, turn right, turn left, right? But it's only telling you it's a navigational system. But a good mind becomes a good GPS, a God positioning system. It takes you to God.
Yes, Mataji.
What is the triangle thing he said, Mataji?
Guru Sadhu Shastra.
Guru Sadhu Shastra.
Mataji, what is sadhu?
Sadhu means others, other than your guru.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes the guru can take wrong if the guru fell down. and now telling you wrong things.
Right.
So that coverage is there, that protection is there, the sadhu part of it also.
Though I didn't come for the class, Mataji, I was answering the sloka. You see that I sent the sloka, the one you are teaching us?
Yeah. The recordings you send on Sundays, right?
I was doing that.
Yeah. That's why I was confused that why did you think the classes were not happening when you were watching and listening to the Sunday one? Doesn't matter. This world is
I
like,
enjoyed today.
No, that's why I told Sutapa Mataji that remind Vindhyavali Mataji. She hasn't been coming.
Yeah, today morning she called. I said,
so I told her just text her and tell her that the class is on.
Yeah. I had reached out to her like a week ago, right?
Then
last Sunday.
I answered her and I answered the slokas, but I don't know. I didn't come to this class. That is Krishna's Maya. I don't know. Everything I'll tell him only. I tell Krishna, why am I having this? Why am I doing that? Please help me. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
you so much, Mataji. Amazing.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Words, they're always going to be amazing. But the most amazing thing is the soul. Some talk of him as amazing, some see of him as amazing, and some, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him. That's me. Dandavat pranams to all of you here on Facebook, YouTube. Haribol. Talk to you again on Sunday morning for the brave. We're going to join the call at 6:30 a.m. to do the Bhagavad-gita recitation. Otherwise, we'll meet again next week.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. What a wonderful way to spend the weekend and a Friday night.
Thank you very much, Rashmi Sai Mataji.
Haribol.
Where is Sutapa is gone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Uncle Prabhu, for joining and asking questions and sending reflections.